Hey, what's going on? Dr. Gonzo Boogie here again, back for another video, and this is going to be a huge video, probably one of my biggest videos to date. And in this video, as you guys could probably already tell from the title, is going to be me showing my entire Hammer horror collection. And actually, me doing my Hammer horror video is kind of a big deal because the first YouTube video I ever made in this style was me showing my Hammer collection, and that video is horrible. Please do not check that out. One of my worst videos ever. Just, I don't even know why the video quality is so bad on that, but also the audio quality is just horrible on that too. But I made that video 3 years ago now, in 2012, and ever since then I try to make an updated video every year just to show you guys the things that I added to the collection each year, basically. So this year I've actually gotten a lot of new stuff since the last time I posted one of these videos up, so I'm really excited to make basically my definitive Hammer horror video up to this date, and I'll show you guys everything that I have. And I have a lot to show here, so I don't want to waste too much time, and I'm just going to get going. And first off, I'm going to start off with my Blu-rays, show you guys the Blu-rays I have. And then second, I'll do the DVDs, which I have a ton of Hammer Blu-rays. If you guys see the gap in my shelf up there, that is my entire Hammer collection that I had to take out to show you guys for this video. So it's probably one of the biggest chunks in my horror movie, in my entire movie collection, is my Hammer stuff, because I just have so much. So I'm really excited to finally make this video and finally get it up for the Halloween time. And next week I'll be doing my Halloween collection video, so I'm also really excited about that, because I haven't done a video where I show my Halloween collection in a few years. I think last year I can't remember if last year I made one or not, but definitely looking forward to doing an update of that. And then after I show you guys the DVDs, I'll do my tapes, which I have a good chunk of the Hammer Dracula movies on tape, so show you guys that too. So now I'm just going to start off with the Blu-rays, and first up here we have Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed. I have a couple of these Blu-rays that Warner Brothers just recently put out, and I wish that I had picked up the Mummy one for this video. It's the only one out of the 4 they put out that I don't have yet, but I actually plan on picking that one up this week, so I almost wish that I had waited a little bit to do the video, but that gives me a reason to do another updated one next year now, because I'm already going to be getting some new Hammer stuff after I make this video. So Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed. Really glad they kept the artwork from the original Warner Brothers DVD releases, because those are probably some of my favorite Hammer DVDs in my entire collection. Alright, next up here we have Taste the Blood of Dracula. One of the best names for any horror movie ever. Just awesome. You got Christopher Lee in this as Dracula. Probably my favorite Dracula of all time, even though the Bela Lugosi one I think is the most iconic. The Christopher Lee one is probably my favorite when it comes down to it. And then the last for these Blu-rays is Dracula Has Risen from the Grave. Again, just love how they kept the original artwork, which were originally based on the poster designs, which are just really awesome looking. Alright, and then this is Vampire Circus. This is a Synapse release, and this was actually one of the first Blu-rays, if not the first Blu-ray that I ever picked up. I actually picked this one up before I had a Blu-ray player, because it's a Blu-ray and DVD combo pack. So I was really excited about this when I picked it up, because it was a Hammer movie that I hadn't seen yet, and like I said, it was one of the first Blu-rays that I ever picked up. So love this, and this is a really, really good Hammer film too. Actually, probably one of my favorites. And then last for the Blu-rays is this 2-pack. It's an Amicus and a Hammer 2-pack. The Man Who Could Cheat Death is actually a Hammer film, and The Skull is an Amicus movie, so I picked this one up because I love Hammer, and I've also been trying to get some of the Amicus horror movies too. I've been a fan of both, but I've always liked Hammer a little bit more. I've always thought as kind of Amicus as like a competitor, someone who copied Hammer and tried to do the same thing to, you know, kind of dip into that market and get some of the money for themselves. But I also really like the Amicus movies, because a lot of the directors and actors that were in the Hammer movies also worked on the Amicus horror movies too. So if you're really into Hammer and you feel like you're running out of stuff to watch, you know, always start digging into the Amicus films. But really cool pack. I actually haven't seen any of these yet. I just picked up this pack recently. I haven't even showed it in my updated video, my DVD Blu-ray update video yet. So this is really new for my collection. And that was it for the Blu-rays for right now. But like I said, I'll be picking up that Mummy Blu-ray that Warner Brothers put out recently because I really want that one. That's probably my favorite in Hammer's Mummy series. Alright, just going to get going now, and on the DVDs, and first off here, I have all of the Warner Brothers releases from that were put out on DVD. So first off, we have here, The Curse of Frankenstein. Love this one, probably my all-time favorite Hammer movie, which is just always really hard to say, because there's so many fun and good ones to watch, but this one is probably my favorite, and this probably has my favorite depiction of the Frankenstein monster in any movie. Christopher Lee's portrayal as the monster in this movie is just so good. I mean, Boris Karloff's is the best. It's almost the same deal with the Dracula Lugosi, where Karloff's is the most iconic, but I just really like how dark and gothic the Frankenstein monster is in this movie. Just the look of him and everything is just really cool, in my opinion. Alright, next up here, we have Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed, which I already showed the Blu-ray of this, so I don't want to waste too much time on it. But again, just awesome cover design on that. Then we have Horror of Dracula. Love this. Another one of the best Hammer films ever. I think this was one of the first Hammer horror movies ever put out, or the Frankenstein one. I actually can't remember which one of those came out first. Now that I think about it, I do think that the Hammer Frankenstein movie came out before the Dracula one. I always get them confused because with the Universal monsters, Dracula came out first. But, yep, Horror of Dracula, great movie right here. And then we have Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, which I also showed on Blu-ray. And Taste the Blood of Dracula, which again showed the Blu-ray of this already. And then here's the Mummy one that I was talking about that I plan on picking up on Blu-ray really soon. But I love the DVD of this, again with awesome poster art here, just love it. Alright, and then next up here we have this Hammer, that was like the end of the ones in the Warner Brothers Snapper cases, even though I also have Dracula AD 1972, which is a Warner Brothers release, but that one wasn't released in a Snapper case, so I'll be showing that one in a minute. But next up here in the collection, and I would say this, my collection, the way I have it set up right now is kind of random. They're not organized too well by date or by genre. Like, I don't have all the Dracula movies together and all the Frankenstein. I kind of have them all over the place, but it works for me, so this is the way that I have them organized in my collection. I'm just showing you guys in order the way that I have them lined up on my shelf, basically. And next up, we have some of my Hammer sets. And this is probably my all-time favorite one. This is the older release of it. They've re-released this in like a regular case, but I almost like the older one in this cardboard case a little bit better. And this comes with a bunch of awesome Hammer movies, and most of them you can only get on this pack here. Got Rites of Dracula, which is the second in Hammer's Dracula series, but sadly does not have Christopher Lee in it, but it still has Peter Cushing as Van Helsing. The Curse of the Werewolf, Hammer's werewolf movie, which you can see a picture of that on the cover right there. And this also comes with their Phantom of the Opera movie, a movie called Paranoiac, or whatever, however you pronounce that movie, The Kiss of the Vampire, Nightmare, Night Creatures, and The Evil of Frankenstein. So that's really cool. Evil of Frankenstein is actually one of my favorites in the Frankenstein series, and Night Creatures is, again, one of my all-time favorite Hammer movies. Just a really cool-looking gothic horror movie. That's one of the ones that they shot in black and white, too, I think, if I remember right. Really cool stuff here. Love that set. Alright, next up here we have the Hammer Icons of Horror collection. This comes with 4 Hammer movies. Comes with one of the Mummy films, which this is the second in Hammer Mummies series, The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. It also comes with 2 Faces of Dr. Jekyll, the Gorgon, which is a really fun one, has like a Medusa type monster in it, and Scream of Fear. It's a really cool pack there. Then I have this pack, which was just put out recently, and it has all of the movies that were on that set. So it has 2 Faces of Dr. Jekyll, it's got Scream of Fear, the Gorgon, and The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, but it also comes with one that I didn't have on DVD right now, which is Stop Me Before I Kill. So I picked this set up just for that one Hammer film that I hadn't had on DVD yet. It's a really cool set here, and this is a cheaper set. This was put out by Mill Creek, but it's a really nice one. The quality on these is the same as on the other sets, so, you know, even though this is a more budget release, the quality on the movies is still really good on this set. Alright, next up here, we have another pack. This is a 3-pack. Comes with Dracula, Prince of Darkness, The Legend of the 7 Golden Vampires, and Frankenstein Created Woman. And the Legend of the 7 Golden Vampires is actually like a kung fu Dracula movie. It doesn't have Christopher Lee as Dracula in it, but again, it has Peter Cushing as Van Helsing, so it's still definitely worth checking out. This is a cool 3-pack. When this came out, I needed Dracula Prince of Darkness. That was one of the ones that was released by Anchor Bay and is out of print and goes for a lot of money. So when they re-released that one on the set, I was really happy. And I do have a bunch of the Anchor Bay releases, but I'll be showing those a little bit later in this video. Those are actually coming up soon. Alright, next up, The Revenge of Frankenstein. I'm pretty sure this is the second in Hammer's Frankenstein series. I'm a little hazy on these. I haven't watched these last time I watched all the Hammer films was last year around Halloween time, and I didn't have time this year to get around to them, so I'm a little bit rusty on these, but, you know, I figured I would show the collection anyways, of course. But yeah, this Revenge of Frankenstein, this one you can get really cheap. I've seen this one in the cheap bargain bin at FYE before, and I'm sure you could probably order this one brand new off Amazon or eBay for like $5 or less. And it's a really good one, so definitely worth checking this out, especially for the price it's at right now. Alright, next up here, Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell. For some reason, this is one of my favorite Hammer DVDs I have. This one used to be a little bit harder to find. The price of this one has actually gone down since I picked this one up, but for some reason it's still one of the highlights in my Hammer collection. Still really happy to have this one. Nice release here. Alright, and then here we have the Dracula AD 1972 that I was talking about. And this is one of the other ones that Warner Brothers put out. And I really, really like the Warner Brothers DVD releases because they use the movie poster designs, which are just always really, really cool. Then here we have the Satanic Rites of Dracula, and this is just a cheap alpha video release of this, and this is the only way I have this on DVD right now. Of course, one day I would love to get the Anchor Bay release of this because I'm sure the quality on the print is so much better, but for now this is good enough for me. But I do want to pick up a better edition of this. If any of you guys know of another edition of this that isn't the Anchor Bay one that is a better quality, definitely let me know in the comments, because I know that this has been released by tons of public domain DVD, you know, release companies, whatever. So I know this has gotten a ton of releases. So if there's one floating around out there that is really good quality, definitely let me know in the comments, because this alpha video one isn't the best. It's about the same quality as like an old VHS tape that's been sitting in a box for like 10 years. So, but it's still really cool to watch, and this is an interesting entry into the Hammer Dracula series. It's basically the last one in the series, and it's cool the way that they took this one, like the route they took with this one. It's basically a sequel to Dracula AD 1972, so this movie also takes place in the then present 70s, so it's cool that they went that way with the series. Alright, next up is all of my Anchor Bay releases, and I forgot exactly how many of these that I have, but I have a pretty good amount of the Anchor Bay releases. So I'm just going to go through and show you guys the ones that I have. First up here, Scars of Dracula, classic Christopher Lee awesomeness right here. This one's a little bit hard to come by, but when I picked this one up, I got it for a really good price. But I picked up a lot of these ones used because the Hammer Anchor Bays tend to go for a lot of money. So if I ever see these going used for a really good price, and the description says that they're in really good condition, I always try to pick some of these up. Really cool stuff here. This is a fun entry into the series. Got a couple of the Mummy films here. The Mummy Shroud, the third in Hammer's Mummy series. Then we have Blood from the Mummy's Tomb, the fourth and last in their series. And this really doesn't have a mummy, but it has like a resurrected Egyptian princess type character or whatever, queen, I guess, and she, the mummy basically looks like that in the movie. It looks like a really, really beautiful woman. So that's cool too. So really cool. Hammer's Mummy series is a lot of fun. All right, next up, this is a double feature from Anchor Bay, and this comes with Frankenstein Created Woman and The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. And I already showed a 3-pack that I have that has these two movies on it. But this I actually owned before that 3-pack. Like I said, I picked up that 3-pack basically for Dracula Prince of Darkness, which I didn't have at the time when that 2-pack came out. So I already had this one beforehand. But this is really cool, and this is worth buying this or a single edition of the Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires if you already have that 3-pack, because this edition actually comes with both versions of the Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. There's like a U.S. cut of the movie, which cut out a lot of stuff in it, and they re-edited some of the parts. And then there's the original cut of the movie that has a lot more in it. So this one actually has both cuts of the movie. So I've seen both of them, and they're both pretty cool to check out. Okay, next up here, Rasputin, the Mad Monk. Classic Christopher Lee being awesome in this one. I mean, what more do you need to say than Christopher Lee as Rasputin? Just a really, really cool movie here. The Reptile. This one actually has like a female killer. She turns into the reptile monster. So that's pretty cool because there's not too many Hammer movies with female monsters in them. That one and the Gorgon are two of the only ones I can think of. And some of the lesbian vampire movies they put out in the 70s. The Plague of the Zombies is a cool one. It's like an earlier voodoo type zombie movie. This came out in the 66. So this one actually predates Night of the Living Dead. So this is another zombie movie that predates Night of the Living Dead for all you zombie fans out there. Then Prehistoric Woman. This is a really cool one, kind of along the same lines as 1 million years BC. It's one of those prehistoric movies, whatever you would call it. Alright, next up here is the Abominable Snowman of the Himalayas, I think is the full name for this one. But this one is actually really hard to come by and goes for a lot of money. This is an awesome DVD. Really glad to have this one. This is actually one of the first Hammer movies I ever saw. I remember watching this one on Turner Classic Movies years ago, way when I was a lot younger, before I even knew what Hammer horror was. So this is cool. So this one probably has the most nostalgia to me out of all the Hammer movies. And this is a really good one. I would say probably one of my favorite Bigfoot Yeti movies that I've ever seen. Really cool. It's got Peter Cushing in it. Really good stuff. Alright, next up here, Betty Davis in the Anniversary. And this is actually the last out of my Anchor Bay releases. And this one's okay. It's kind of like, one of those movies where everybody's in the house and you're trying to figure out like a murder mystery type thing. But I have to admit, I didn't really get too big into this one. Probably my least favorite Hammer movie in my collection, but it's an Anchor Bay release, and a couple of my friends found this one for me at a pawn shop, and they picked it up for me. So you know, I was just happy to add to the Anchor Bay and the Hammer collection anyways. Alright, so I have a few more DVDs here before I show you guys the small amount of tapes that I have for Hammer. First, last up here is the Hound of the Baskervilles. This is an earlier Hammer movie, really good one here. Actually, Christopher Lee has said that this is one of his favorite roles he ever played because he plays like a a leading man type character in this movie. So he's not playing some hideous monster or Dracula. Like he actually plays a really good, a well written character in this one. So definitely worth checking out for that. This is a 2-pack, Midnight Movies 2-pack. Countess Dracula and the Vampire Lovers. These are some of the lesbian vampire movies Hammer put out in the 70s. And these two are a lot of fun. A lot of fun to watch. Look, like those. And next up here, this is probably my favorite out of their lesbian vampire movies they put out. This is Twinsie Evil. Had a lot of fun watching this one. Really fun Hammer movie right here. Probably say that this is one of my favorites too out of all the Hammer movies. Alright, and then next up, Hands of the Ripper. This is a Jack the Ripper movie. Really cool stuff here. This and the Twinsie Evil one were Synapse releases. And these are really nice. You can also get these as combo Blu-ray packs too. But I picked these up before I had my Blu-ray player, so I just went with the separate DVD ones. And then last up for the DVDs is 1,000,000 Years BC with Raquel Welch in it and all that. Just classic. I would say probably one of the more well-known Hammer productions. Mostly because Raquel Welch wearing like skimpy cave girl clothes. But it is a pretty interesting movie other than that. Another one of their prehistoric type movies. I'm not sure what you would call these. I'm sure someone in the comments can say, but I'm like drawing a blank right here on what they call these movies, but they're really fun. And also, Ray Harryhausen does the special effects in here, and if you know anything about sci-fi horror monster movies, Ray Harryhausen is one of the best monster makers ever. Basically, the monster maker when it comes to horror movies. Right, and then last up for this video, and sorry if I'm going through this a little quick for you guys, but I just had a lot to show here, and I wanted to keep the video as short as I could. But here I'll just show you guys the tapes that I have really quickly, and I only have some of the Dracula movies on tapes. So first up here, Horror of Dracula, the first Hammer Dracula movie, really cool. Love the artwork on this one, really cool stuff. Some of the Warner Brothers tapes that were put out have these like almost cartoony cover designs on them that I think are really, really cool. Next up, Brides of Dracula. Dracula Has Risen from the Grave. Cool here, not as cool as have a cover design as the DVD and Blu-ray release. Taste of Blood of Dracula. This one has a almost equally as cool cover design as the DVD Blu-ray release, but I still like the Blu-ray DVD cover more. Dracula AD 1972. Also a Warner Brothers release, and this one I actually have brand new, have not opened it yet, so it's the only Hammer VHS that I have that's brand new. And then last up here is the Rites of Dracula, which is just a public domain budget release of the Satanic Rites of Dracula. So, just cool stuff here. And that was the Hammer video. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I was happy to finally get this video up, because I would say I was a little worried because it's getting close to the end of the month that I wasn't going to have enough time to get this one up anymore. So I'm glad that I found some time to film this. And next week, like I said, I'll have my video up where I show my Halloween collection. So I'm real excited about that because Halloween is creeping around the corner. My favorite month, favorite holiday, favorite time of the year. So I'm real excited about that. And I'm going to have a really, really cool update for you guys next week. I have a bunch of cool stuff that I already picked up last week, and I'm going to be picking up some more really cool stuff this week too. So next week I'll have an update video for you guys too. So Like always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, definitely give it a big old thumbs up or leave a comment, and I'll see you guys next time.